I'ma work for it, ride for it. I'ma organize for it. Stay up in the night and in the morning, I'ma rise for it. Heart for it, mind for it, ears for it, eyes for it. Peace and a place on this earth for me and mine for it. Work for it, ride for it, I'ma organize for it. Stay up in the night and in the morning, I'ma rise for it. Heart for it, mind for it, ears for it, eyes for it. Peace and a place on this earth for me and mine for it.
Oligarch, robot, warfare. On episode 3 of our podcast, we introduced listeners to the Pohlad Companies, a privately held conglomerate of businesses spanning many industries, all owned by the Pohlad family, second and third generation billionaires who inherited their massive wealth from patriarch Carl Pohlad. One of the firms that makes up the Pohlad Companies is United Properties, a private, commercial and residential real estate developer prominent in the Minneapolis market and beyond, and lead developers on the Upper Harbor Terminal redevelopment project. The city of Minneapolis chose to grant exclusive rights to 48 acres of public land on the North Minneapolis riverfront to this firm owned by white people who were born billionaires. In this first episode on the Pohlads, we did an overview of the major real estate holdings of United Properties in Minneapolis, shining light on their inside track at City Hall and the state legislature, and identifying their leading role in the gentrification of the city. In episode 30, titled Antone's Oligarchs, we revisited the Pohlads. We looked at the maxed out donations from members of the Pohlad families and leaders in the Pohlad Companies to Mayor Jacob Fry, and looked at their failed effort to unseat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar with a corporate stooge. Then, on episode 42, titled On What Foundation, we looked at the role of the Pohlad Family Foundation in robbing the public of tax revenue and attempting to repress and limit political organizing in the Twin Cities. Today we're back with the Pohlads. We're going to take a closer look at PAR Systems, another Pohlad company, to get a better sense of just how oppressive and corrosive this level of wealth concentration is to our society. We're going to start our story with the radio. In late November of 2020, the Twin Cities' leading hip-hop and alternative radio stations, Go 95 and Go 96, were abruptly shut down. On-air personalities shared via social media that they were shocked to find themselves without jobs, and listeners were jolted by the loss of 2 of the city's most popular stations. The Go radio properties were owned by the Pohlad Companies, who sold them in November to a Christian radio group. Just like that, at the whim of the billionaire overlords, the media landscape in the Twin Cities was transformed. This moment was an invitation for people to ask questions. Why was one of the few stations in the region that plays hip-hop owned by some of the wealthiest white people in the state? Who gets to decide what goes over the airwaves or what gets built on the ground? And what about the say of workers and consumers whose lives are on the line in these major decisions? While the sudden closure of the Go radio stations differs in scale from the sudden closure of an auto plant in Michigan or a factory in Ohio, the fundamental dynamics are the same. The private capitalists make decisions that impacts the life and death of many based solely on their profits, while workers in the community are left to pick up the pieces. I bring up the closure of Go95 as a way to introduce PAR Systems, a high-tech robotics firm owned by the Pohlads that specializes in eliminating jobs through industrial automation. Automation is the process of using technology to mechanize production, to replace a human worker with a machine that can work faster than a mere human and requires no breaks, no health care, no vacation, and no wage. Originally spun off from General Mills as programmed and robotic systems and purchased by the Pohlad Companies in 2017, PAR Systems is a world leader in automation across industries, working with business owners to design custom robotics to best reduce their labor costs, aka lay off workers. PAR Systems is headquartered in Shoreview, Minnesota, with outposts across the globe. Tom Pohlad is currently serving as CEO of PAR Systems. On the PAR Systems YouTube channel, you can watch a robot sort and pack trays of food products with extraordinary precision and speed. Or you can watch a completely automated factory where a team of robots work together to load, stack, move, and label pallets. Or in another video, you can watch a robot locate and retrieve any variety of retail goods ordered online from a massive humanless warehouse. In October of 2020, PAR Systems President Dara Staunton published an essay exclaiming artificial intelligence as the future of automation. Staunton predicts machine vision, machine learning, and artificial intelligence ushering in a new age of capitalist domination. He uses the example of a Tyson's robotics lab in Arkansas that has taught a robot to identify and sort beads based on color. Staunton says, quote, "The robot is a part of an ongoing automation project to identify and cut meat parts by size, shape, and color safely and efficiently. Using computer vision and software, this is as much AI as it is automation." I'd say that's bad news for any meat plant workers or butchers out there. Closing his piece, Staunton strikes a rather Terminator 2-ass tone, writing, "Technology has already eaten the world. Manufacturing is one of the final frontiers for intelligent technologies that already drive our e-commerce, marketing, and social lives. Those who don't start to invest in artificial intelligence will risk being left behind." McKinsey & Company, the global management consulting firm made infamous by the presidential candidacy of Pete Buttigieg, that has been ruthless in its attacks on the working classes and poor, helping grocery stores fix prices on bread, helping to push the privatization of the post office, and helping the U.S. military occupy Iraq and Afghanistan, has published many studies on automation, predicting more and more of the workforce will be expendable in the near future. Not surprisingly, the Pohlads, owners of automation leader PAR Systems, were among Buttigieg's most ardent backers and financial supporters, working for a president excited to usher in their techno-capitalist dystopia. The capitalist automation led by PAR Systems has weakened the working classes, has made more workers expendable, dependent, and isolated. In 1963, James Boggs, a revolutionary black auto worker in Detroit, wrote that automation is the stage of production that carries the contradictions of capitalism to their furthest extreme. Boggs predicted the large surplus populations of displaced workers whose jobs would be lost to automation, saying, "There's no way for capitalism to employ them profitably, yet it can't just kill them off. It must now feed them rather than be fed by them. In the decades since Boggs offered his analysis, we have seen the dual systems of mass incarceration and mass indebtedness constructed to warehouse the displaced workers predicted by Boggs. Capitalist automation is creating a dramatically unequal world where a privileged few are able to reap the benefits of advanced technology, and the rest are forced into prisons or varying degrees of unfreedom under the eyes of the surveillance state. This is a profitable arrangement for the billionaire Pohlads. The attack on the working classes constituted by capitalist automation is just one of the nefarious aspects of PAR Systems' business. Another pillar of their work is in weapons systems. PAR Systems is a military contractor, profitably working with the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security to build high-tech weapons of war. War profiteering is one of PAR Systems' core revenue streams, even spawning its own separate division focused on securing contracts from the military-industrial complex called PAR Defense. The ridiculous and grotesque trillion-dollar Pentagon budgets that we are mocked with every year largely goes to private contractors like Pohlad Company PAR Systems. The war machine is primarily about making money, not just through the violent seizure of resources like oil, but also through justifying the need to build newer planes and rockets and missiles and tanks and lasers and radars. War is in the DNA of the capitalist system, in the need to constantly grow, to externalize cost, to exploit labor and resources. Capitalism has cultivated war since its inception. PAR Systems boasts of their work on aircraft carriers, on fighter jets and computer systems, without ever mentioning who those weapons are being used against. No mention of the precision targeting of hospitals, of water treatment facilities, or the civilian electrical grid in Iraq. No mention of the high-tech weapon systems that bring carnage to wedding parties in Yemen or Somalia. While the Pohlads sit comfortably in their gentrified downtown Minneapolis offices, their pursuit of profit brings the terror of war to more and more of the globe. We should also know that the same technology PAR Systems sells to the U.S. Navy for their aircraft carriers, it also sells to the oil industry for use in offshore oil drilling, another murderously destructive but profitable venture for the billionaire class. War is as American as baseball, and since the Pohlads own both the Minnesota Twins and military contractor PAR Systems, they must be as patriotic as it gets. Capitalism is antisocial. It takes the wealth produced collectively and privatizes it in the hands of the capitalists. We see this with the Pohlad Companies. The Pohlad Companies receive exclusive rights to public land through their real estate arm, United Properties, and rake in public money in contracts with the Department of Defense through PAR Systems. By looking at PAR Systems, we can see how much power is concentrated in the top 1%, when white inheritors of wealth can make decisions to eliminate millions of jobs, can crack the ocean floor for oil we know we shouldn't be burning, or fill the ocean water with naval destroyers decked out with high-tech missiles. All at the expense of the socially necessary and restorative uses our collective wealth and knowledge should be pursuing. And this is only one of the Pohlad family's umbrella of companies and private investments. This level of wealth and dominance over public life is anti-democratic, authoritarian, and stifling. The more wealth and power hoarded by the Pohlads and the billionaire class, the more surveillance, austerity, and poverty for the rest of us. With this perspective, we can see that challenging the exclusive rights of United Properties to the land at the Upper Harbor Terminal is not just a local struggle for what happens on that 48 acres. It's also part of the broader international class struggle over whether there will be collective wealth and economic democracy or oligarchic control and strict hierarchy enforced by automated armies. It's oligarch, robot warfare, and we're on the side of the international proletarian revolution. Money, power, land, solidarity.
We need money, land, solidarity. If you funny, stand very far away from me. We have running plans about as far as they can see to keep them coming. Bands building up the company.